This video, I'm going to share with you how I DIYed this coffee table using only scrap wood from previous projects that I had left over. My goal is to make 0 trips to Home Depot, and if you've done any DIY projects yourself, you know how impossible this is. No, seriously, it's impossible. I usually make at least 3 trips for every project. I have a lot of this white wood, so I'm going to use this for my coffee table. It's not the ideal wood to use to make furniture. However, it's what I have, so I'm going to make it work. I have altogether 5 2x8 pieces of white wood that are 36 inches long, and this wood comes with a rounded edge, so I'm going to cut about 1/8 off each side. That way when the wood joins, it would be completely flat. Well, that is my hope. I've come to realize that working with wood, it's not always perfect. The way I'm going to join these pieces together of using a combination of a dowel jig and the Kreg jig, I think this would give me the best result. I feel like the dowels give me a more accurate flat surface than the Kreg. Sometimes when I'm using the Kreg jig, when I'm drilling in the screws, the wood shifts slightly. I don't know if you've had the same thing happen to you, but this is what I've experienced. Once I've finished drilling all the holes for the dowels, the next step is simple. I'm just adding glue to the sides and then I'll clamp the wood together. I added these extra pieces of wood to the sides to prevent the wood from bowing. The next morning I removed all the clamps and I'm going to get started on creating the round coffee table top. You can see here that the wood is not completely straight, so I'm going to take my planer and try and get it as flat as possible. I had to do a lot of sanding, which is my least favorite part of woodworking. I then used my level ruler to see where the highs and low points of the wood were, and then worked on those areas. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I got kind of lazy and tried to use a piece of wire as a guide to create my circle. This did not work out as well as I was hoping, as you can see. So I eventually had to make the jig to create a perfect circle, which actually did a pretty good job. It's spring here in California and the mosquitoes are out in full force. The Ryobi router that I'm using didn't cut the wood as deep as I needed, so I had to flip the wood and make sure that I had the exact same center point so that the wood would cut on the same path. I routed this section to make sure that I was cutting all the way through and to make sure it was cutting on the same path, and thankfully it was. So I continued to router the rest of the tabletop. Once I was through, I could easily break off the remaining end pieces. These end pieces, I did not add any dowels or screws to them, so they broke off pretty easily. As you can see, the edges are pretty rough, so I had to do a good amount of sanding. You remember how much I love sanding. So now that the coffee table top is made, I need to start working on the base. I have these IKEA wood slats from a twin bed that we no longer use, and I kept the wood, and I thought this would be perfect for what I want to make. So I cut them each down into 15 inches long and used a stop blocker to speed up the process. I made about 14 pieces in total. I did a bunch of research but couldn't find any tutorials on what I wanted to achieve, so I had to come up with something on my own. So I thought that I would create 2 circles, then I would lay the wood slats around them. I'll show you what I mean. I taped the wood slats together so I could get a good visual. The wood that I used to cut the circles out of was just builder's grade subfloor plywood, which is not going to be substantial when attaching the wood slats. So I needed to have something more to attach the wood slats to. So I cut 14 of these small pieces of wood. I'm going to glue them to the plywood. That way when I attach the wood slats to this circle base, it's going to have something to attach to. Before I could attach the wood slats, I had to do more sanding. Aren't you guys lucky that I can fast forward this for you? Once the sanding was completed, I pre-stained with wood conditioner. And then I've seen a lot of people use this whitewash first to get rid of the orange color of the wood. So I thought I'd give this a try. You can see what a difference it makes between these two pieces. The orange in the wood is completely gone. I used special walnut to stain the wood. I'm not sure if I like the color that's coming through. Please let me know if there's a better combination when whitewashing the wood first. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the like button. So before I attached the wood slats, I added my base contraption to the tabletop and made sure that it was perfectly centered. I removed the screws I previously used and added longer ones that would screw into the tabletop. To add extra stability, I used pocket hole screws to add an extra 2 pieces of wood. So now that it's attached to the tabletop, I can start attaching the wood slats. I added the first piece and made sure that it was level, because the bottom of my tabletop did not get as much sanding as the top and it was not perfectly level. Once the first few pieces were level, I added the rest of the wood slats and left it overnight for the wood glue to solidify. The following morning, I was not a huge fan of the color. It looked very gray to me. So I added a layer of Dixie Belle's All Natural Gel Stain and then wiped it off with the cloth. I'm still not entirely sure if I like the color or not. I guess maybe once I see it in the space, I'll change my mind. And for the final step, I added a clear top coat of polyacrylic to protect the wood stain. I made this video in the hopes that it will inspire you to create something truly unique that's handmade by you. I achieved my goal and made 0 trips to Home Depot, so this table cost me nothing. Do I love it? I think it's growing on me. It goes well with the aesthetic of my living space. Let me know what you think in the comments. I appreciate hearing from all of you. And please subscribe for more videos like this.